Hello Year 11 and welcome to your fourth Religious Studies revision session. In this video we're going to focus on the role of the Word and the role of the Spirit in creation. We've looked generally at the nature of God and the three aspects of the Trinity, and we've also looked at general beliefs in creation in previous videos. So this one is going to bring two of those things together and focus on how the different parts of the Trinity play crucial roles in creation. As always, we're going to focus on making sure that you feel confident in explaining two key ideas, some quotes, and two influences for each of these aspects of the specification, so you are ready for any question that may come your way in the exam. First up, we're going to take a look at the role of the Word. Now, when we see the word written like this with a capital W, it's a title that is used to describe Jesus. As a reminder, Jesus is the second person of the Trinity, and looking at him within the Trinity in this way emphasises that special relationship between Jesus and God. So whenever you see the term the Word written there, just remind yourself that that's another title used for Jesus. Now, one common misconception that students often have is that Jesus was not present at creation and that he was born later in the story of the Nativity. However, it's important to know that Jesus was actually there. He's an essential part of the Trinity, and if you remember from our video on the Trinity, all three parts of the Trinity are necessary, interdependent, and eternal. If they're eternal, that means that Jesus had to be present at creation as an essential part of the Trinity. The Trinity cannot be divided up, so Jesus is not a part that comes along and is added later. He's always there. Secondly, that means that without Jesus and without his presence, that therefore the universe would not exist. In other words, he's an essential part of the Trinity and therefore an essential part of creation. How might these beliefs influence a Christian? Well, it might help them to understand the crucial role of all persons in the Trinity in creation. All of them are necessary, all of them have a role, and all of them are interdependent. In other words, the universe would not be created if all three of those aspects of God weren't there, because that is what creates God, that's what makes up God. Secondly, it reminds Christians to believe that Jesus is eternal. He has always been there and will always be there. Jesus does not come later in the story of Christianity when he's born in human form. He's always existed as part of God since before the creation of the universe. Here's a little exam alert for you. There are two quotes that AQA states you must know for the exam, and this is one of them. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and he was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. This is a really lovely quote that actually summarises everything that we've just spoken about. First of all, we now remember that the Word means Jesus. So it's saying, in the beginning was the Word. In other words, Jesus has always been there since the beginning. The Word was with God. There again, emphasising the essentialness of Jesus as being part of the Trinity. He was with God in the beginning, and through him all things were made. In other words, if Jesus had not been there, then nothing would have been created. Again, just emphasising that essential role that Jesus played in the creation story. Secondly, we're going to look at the role of the Spirit. As a reminder from our previous videos, the Spirit is the third person of the Trinity, believed by Christians to be present with believers since the Pentecost and active on earth. However, just like Jesus, the Holy Spirit did not come into existence during this event of Pentecost, but has always been there. So again, those key beliefs are going to be very similar. Number one, the Holy Spirit was present at creation as an essential part of the Trinity. Again, without the Holy Spirit, God wouldn't be God, and therefore the universe wouldn't have been able to have been created. Belief number two, the Spirit is believed to be the source of life by many Christians in creation. You will hear Christians sometimes talking about the Spirit breathing life into creation. So how do these beliefs influence Christians? Well, again, there's that reminder about the crucial role of all three persons in the Trinity. So in this case, the Spirit. Again, reminding us that all three persons are essential and interdependent. They are necessary. creation would not have happened without all persons of the Trinity being present. They are collectively what makes up God. Secondly, it influences Christians to believe that the Holy Spirit is eternal. So again, similarly with Jesus, the Holy Spirit isn't something that comes later in the story after Jesus' ascension. The Holy Spirit comes to earth. That is not the first time we hear about the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit has always been there, and we know that because of this quote in Genesis, which says, "The Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." Now, exam alert, this is the second quote that AQA specify you need to know for your exam. So this is one that is essential. You need to make sure that you know it because you can get a question specifically about this quote. What this tells us here is that the Holy Spirit was there and had a very active role in creation. The Spirit was there and hovering over the waters. So the questions they may ask you about the role of the Word and the role of the Spirit in creation are very specific. If it comes up as an influence question, it's likely to look like this. Explain 2 ways in which the role of the Word in creation influences Christians today. Or, equally, explain 2 ways in which the role of the Spirit in creation influences Christians today. Let's have a look at one of those examples. Having a look at this answer, this is a question about the Word. Explain 2 ways in which the role of the Word in creation influences Christians today. So we're reminding ourselves that when we see the Word, we know that that means Jesus. So the role of the Word influences Christians to understand the crucial role of Jesus in creation. By believing that Jesus was present at creation, it reminds Christians that without him, nothing would exist. Christians might believe that Jesus is eternal. This is because Jesus' presence at creation shows that he existed before the universe existed and therefore has no beginning or end. So remember, with our influence questions, we need to show the clear impact that a belief might have on a believer. So here, highlighted in yellow, we have our 2 key influences. One, it's influencing Christians to understand. So we're talking about understanding God, understanding the Trinity, understanding the role that they play in creation. And then secondly, it's reinforcing that belief. It makes them believe that Jesus is eternal, because if he existed before the universe as part of God, he has no beginning or no end. So what I'd like you to do now is pause the video, set yourself a 4-minute timer and have a go at the other question. Once you've done that, you can take your answers back to a teacher and get them to mark it for you. So here we have 2 examples of possible 6-mark questions. Again, they're really specific, focusing in on the role of the Word in creation and the role of the Spirit in creation. I'm going to model one for you, and then you can pause the video and have a go at the second one yourself. So I've created a model answer for the question on the Spirit for you. So this is question number 2. Many Christians believe that the Spirit was present in creation and therefore has a necessary role in the existence of the universe. This can be seen in the Bible, where it states the Spirit of God hovered over the water. This shows that the Spirit played an active role. Many Christians also believe that the Spirit breathed life into creation, meaning that without the presence of the Spirit, life could not exist. So our 2 points is firstly that the Spirit was present at creation, and our second point is that the Spirit breathes life into creation. Both of those points are developed, and then we get our final 2 marks from including a correct reference quote. So we've got the Spirit of God hovered over the water, and we've made it clear that that comes from the Bible, and then we've applied that quote by saying this shows the Spirit played an active role. So that is your 6 out of 6 structure. What I'd like you to do now is to pause the video on the previous slide and have a go at the question about the role of the Word in creation and see if you can write a 6 out of 6 answer for that one too.